Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out.
Take the wrong and you make it right. Like a firefly, you're glowing at night. So don't make it hard, don't let me go. I wanna hold you tight when you're cold. I'm waiting for your love, you just keep me hanging on. I deserve to stay, and I will find my way. I will find my way.
Fire makes the city look so bright. Close your eyes and just stay tight. We have to go. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave.
find your way back home. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown. rest. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. 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 You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now. Casting on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me. Hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. Can make me move. Can make me
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go.
expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares too. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Do you remember how you held me then? Now you got me reaching out. And do you see you got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, how long do I got to keep you, to keep you? Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you and you're always inside. Down in the deep of my mind, trying so hard not to keep you, to keep you. Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
Never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. Going with the gut, never had a doubt, felt like this is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now. We know I ain't ballin' yet, hoes wanna holler, oh no, I don't call them back. Girl, let me see you hold it down, we gon' have a blast. Cause I just wanna know what you gonna do with all of that. Ain't gotta say a word, I know what's up. You can have it all, watch me rip it off. I'll admit it, you got me feeling hella loved. Even when it's going down, know that we gon' live it up. Young shot caller, always been a baller. Know that you the one, I can feel it in my heart. Yeah, I won't stop charging, we going come harder. I can see you and I, way beyond the stars, girl. I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right. It feels
Hi, good morning all. It's 11 o'clock. I hope every one of you is here. Good morning everyone. Am I audible to all of you? Let me know the clarity of the sound, guys, before we start the lecture. Am I audible to all of you guys? Very clear. Okay. Good morning Shivam, good morning Latakant, good morning Yash, Chandresh, every one of you. Welcome to the next session, day 5. So let us start with the session, guys. Now before I start, let me tell you all the links for yesterday's assignment are in the description where you can check it. The attendance form is also in the description of the video. Along with that, today's assignment is also put up in the description. As far as the discussion of the assignment is concerned, that we'll be doing it at 12 o'clock, guys, not before that. Somewhere after we end the session, maybe in between 12:45 to 1:15 we'll be discussing those assignments. So now let us move on to the agenda for today, guys. So as we all know, we have to cover file handling and exception handling. However, I have made a slight change over here. I'll be covering file handling and exception handling, of course. Along with that, I'm planning to cover the topics map, filter and lambda function today itself, because this concept of OOP as well as the concept of decorator and generator will be consuming our last day in totality. So let's start with the concept of file handling, guys. So okay, let's go ahead. So let me open the notebook for file handling, and here you have file handling. Okay, guys, now whenever I say file handling, see, by now, or rather up till now, whatever programs we wrote, maybe let us consider the program for basic addition, we used to write something like a equal to 1, b is equal to 2, c equal to a plus b, and followed by print of c, and this entire thing was written in a cell in the Jupyter. And the problem with this was, once you execute this program, you were able to see the output. But if you close the Jupyter notebook and once again open it, you will see that this C no longer store the variable answer as 3. The reason is, all of these values, that is A, B or C, all of these values are stored into a temporary memory which is called as random access memory. And random access memory is a volatile memory in nature. By volatile, I mean that the moment you turn off that particular process or the moment you restart your computer, this memory automatically get flushed out and is altogether available to us. So all of the older contents are all of the older contents will be deleted, and the only new contents would be available to us. So by new content, I mean only the loading of the directory will be available to us. Rest everything, that is my temporary variables, whatever were declared by any of the applications, all of them would be simply deleted for us. So let me try to make you understand what I mean this by this concept. Let me go down, guys. We'll come back to the theory later. First and foremost thing, let me come to this particular folder, and I will show you that our notebook for file handling, as you can see over here, is present at this particular address, and this address is somewhere in the E drive. Fine. So now, apart from this, in this particular folder, let me classify it as per the type. So I say group by type, and I only see a txt file over here, and that is a agenda.txt file. The rest everything is not available to us, right? So if I look at the notepad files which are available to us, it is only agenda.txt. Now let me come back to tell you what am I trying to show you over here. Just a second, guys. Okay, so let me start with it, and I simply say let me execute a statement. Forget all these comments. I say I want to open a file over here, and therefore I say the available function to me is called as open function, and I say I want to open a file called as txt and followed by w. Now what I mean by that, every time I am talking of a file's open function, the open function of file will always take two things. First is which file are you planning to open, that is the file name, and second is in what mode do you want to open this file. Now you see over here I have given the file name to be opened as t1.txt. So okay, so file name is clear to us and the mode of the file is W. That means that I want to open the file in the write mode. You'll understand everything, just have some patience. Now what do I say? Let this open statement be assigned with a variable, maybe I am calling this variable as f, okay, and I now say let us execute one more function of file which is called as a close function. And now let me execute this cell and then I will explain you what I mean by that. Now before that, you are seeing over here that I am planning to open a file called as t1.txt, and where is this file going to be opened or from what address? t1.txt file will be t1.txt file will be searched in the same directory in which the notebook is open. So we know over here that our notebook is open in this particular URL. So my t1.txt will also be searched over here only, this PC, E drive, so on and so forth. And I do see that there is nothing called as t1.txt, there is only one txt file which is called as agenda.txt. So I come over here and I say there is a file called as t1.txt, please open that file for me, and open that file in which mode? The write mode. And this entire thing I will be assigning to an object called as f, and after opening the file I say okay, I am simply planning to open a file and I want to close that file. So I press Ctrl enter and I do not see any output over here. But guys, let us go back to the folder, let's upgrade, and now you can see over here a file called as t1.txt got created. Okay, so now coming on to the main thing, what exactly happened over here? Now we can actually start with the files chapter. From the Jupyter notebook, I was able to create a file in my current working directory, okay, and that file as of now is simply a .txt file, as you can see over here. So I will close this and now let's come back to our file chapter. View toggle header. File handling in Python. Python supports file handling and allows the user to handle the file to perform the following operations. The first operation is called as the read operation, which we have not seen yet, but we did see that there is something called as write operation, and there are some other file handling operations too. Now the concept of the file has been stretched over different languages, but the implementation is complicated or lengthy. Maybe you consider in Java or C, they are not as simple as they are in Python. Python recognizes, as far as our basic course is concerned, Python recognizes two types of files, which is a text file and a binary file. What we saw just now was called as a text file, and binary file is out of the syllabus because binary file is simply going to be a file consisting of the machine code, that is purely numbers, zeros and ones. So a machine can read a binary file, but for users like you and me, we are going to use the text files. So let's focus on that particular part and we go ahead. Each line of the file will be terminated by a special character called as end of line, and next is RAM is volatile and therefore it loses data when the computer is turned off, and therefore we want to store the data into file. And the advantage of file is that they are persistent, that is they can store the data for a longer amount of time. By that I want to say that if I store something in t1.txt, even after I restart my cell, the data would be still available to us. Fine. So of course the theory doesn't make the things that clear. So let us directly jump onto the program and try to understand. Now guys, file can be opened in the following modes. The first mode of opening a file is called as read mode, where I can simply read a particular file. A very simple example, layman's example could be a PDF. A PDF is a document which you can only read, but you cannot write anything into it. Next is called as a write mode. Example may be Microsoft Word, where you can also write into that particular file. And the third mode is called as A mode, also called as appending mode. Now in appending mode, what happens is, let's say you have some contents into the file, maybe like hi sir is the content of the file, and you want to append or add something into the file, maybe like hello. So if anything has to be added at the end of this particular file, I say I have to open the file in the append mode. I'll be making this mode clear to you as we move down in the chapter. As of now, let's start with the very first mode of the file, which is called as a write mode. So to open any particular file, as we saw, we have an open function. This open function says give me two things, t1.txt, that is the name of the file which you want to open, and the mode of the file which you want to open. Okay, and this open function is going to do the work and store it inside a file object, and this file object over here we are calling it as f. It can be called by any particular variable name. And now to operate anything on this particular file, I'll be using my f object, and therefore all of the functions would now be said as f.close, f.open, f.write, f.read, so on and so forth till we close that particular file. So let me explain you the same thing once again, guys. I will go to my LetsUpgrade. In front of you, you can see I'm right clicking on this file and I'm saying delete. So now I have deleted this particular file. There is nothing called as t1.txt. I go over here and I say, boss, please open for me a file called as t1.txt. In which mode? In the write mode. Now friends, file t1.txt will be opened from this particular point, and of course the question comes to you is t1.txt does not exist over here, so how can you open this particular file? And that's the beauty of opening the file in write mode. Write mode says that I will definitely search for the file called as t1.txt in that particular address. If I am unable to find that file, I will be automatically creating that file for you. So now you can see over here, when I execute this particular cell number this, and I go over here, I see that again my t1.txt got created. Fine. So this got created, and immediately after creation, I called a close function using the f object, and I say close the file, and therefore I did not write anything into the file as such. Let me show you one more thing over here, so that makes the thing more clear. I will clear all this thing and I'll go back over here, and I still don't want this file. I delete it. Let me tell you the next mode of opening the file. The next mode was the read mode, and for that we write R over here, guys, right? So now when we execute this particular cell, I am saying that I want to use the open function of the file, and I want to open a file called as t1.txt in the read mode. Guys, as far as the read mode is concerned, when I say open a file for read mode, it is mandatory that the file should pre-exist over there. So when I execute this particular cell, you can see over here it is giving us an error saying that file not found, and it is perfectly fine at that particular place. So we see over here that for a read mode to execute, it is mandatory that the file should exist, but for a write mode, if the file does not exist, it will be creating a file over there for us. As simple as that. So let me open it in the write mode, or let us keep it as it is. Fine. Now let's go down to the next part, guys. Over here I am again using the file function, and I am saying that I want to open the file t1.txt, and I want this file to be opened in the write mode. Let us see whether we have the t1.txt over here, guys. So I scroll back to the extreme end, and I see over here I have only agenda.txt with us. So we are sure that this is going to create a file for us, and the handle of the file or the object of the file is going to be f. Now to write anything into the file, I have a function. Like for opening a particular file, we have a open function. For closing a particular file, we have a close function. Similarly, for writing anything into the file, we have a write function, and whatever is the object you have assigned with f, open function, that would be used with a dot operator for writing anything or closing anything using any function of this particular file. So now you can see over here, guys, we do not have a file called as t1.txt, so this line would be creating the file for us. Next I say, please write into the file the following line, that is hello Dr. Darshan followed by a /n. Now slash n would not be written as it is. We know the meaning of the slash n is move to the next line. So what it will be doing indeed is going to be, it will be creating a file which will be called as t1.txt. On the first line it will be writing for us hello Dr. Darshan, and since I have a slash n after this, it will be going to the new line. And when it comes over here, it is again going to write one more line, and that is how is the training going on question mark followed by a slash n, means my cursor has to stand again at the new line. And once that is done, I say enough of writing the data to the file, let me close the file now. So when I execute this particular cell guys, cell number 12, and I press Ctrl enter, we can go over here and see a file called as t1.txt is created. When I open it, I see that previously the file was blank, but now I was able to write some data into the file. So it is hello Dr. Darshan and how is the training going on. Had I not written a slash n over here in the write function, it would have not gone to the new line guys. So let me come back to the cell. I hope everything is clear up to here. You do not have any queries. If you have any queries, do let me know guys. Let me know in the comment section. Are we going perfectly fine? Any queries up to here as far as the file of text format is concerned? Great, great, great. Fine, fine, fine. Yes, I understand Kadar, how to read the file. We are coming to it, Kadar. Have some patience. Okay, we cannot directly start with the read mode. It's advisable to start with the write mode. Okay, so okay, the write mode is clear. Now, like we have studied that there are as of now total 3 functions of file. The first function as we know was the open function. The second function which we studied was called as the write function, and the third function is called as the close function. By function you can see everywhere I am writing a open bracket and close bracket over here. Whereas there are also some of the file object attributes, and these are the 3 object attributes which we have. One is called as file.close, second is called as file.mode, and third is called as file.name. By attributes, I mean to say that they are not functions, and since they are not functions, you also see that there is nothing called as open close bracket after this. Okay, so this does not exist in any of these particular cases because they are simply attributes. So let's go ahead and see. So we can see over here f dot closed. Okay, so now if I simply type over here, maybe we know the file which we have is opened with the handle called as f, so I type over here f dot close and I press Ctrl enter over here and it says true. By that what I mean to say is I am checking whether this particular file which was opened with the file handle f, is this particular file closed or not. Of course we wrote a close function over here and therefore the file is closed and the answer is true. Let me have this particular line inside this particular thing. So I write over here file.closed and I again write it over here. Now what is going to happen in this particular case? It is going to open a file for me. It is going to write this particular content and it is going to see whether the file is opened or not, and we know that at this particular point the file is not open, so file.closed is going to give us false. Whereas when we execute this function, we know that the file has been closed and therefore the answer has to be true. And of course these 2 lines would be written into the file. So I press Ctrl enter over here and I get only one answer. The reason is Jupyter Notebook by default tells me the last answer, therefore we have to execute this particular thing inside a print function. Similarly over here we write over here f dot closed in the print function and press Ctrl enter. So first print function, as we all have gathered the information, has to print false and the second has printed true. Fair enough, guys. Now, okay, you understood what is the working of the file going to be. Let me comment out this line. I don't require it at the moment. Even this is not required. Now, let's say we know that as far as our t1.txt is concerned, this one, let it be open for us. It is storing the contents. Hello, Dr. Darshan, how is the training going on? Remember this, guys, because I am going to modify this file now. So I say t1.txt has currently stored these 2 lines, and maybe now I am planning to, let's say, Control A, Control C, and add a cell over here, paste over here. Once again, open this particular file, and this time I want to write hello students dot 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 dot. Then I say double quotes close. Okay. So now we can see over here, guys, what have I done over here? I have simply said that the file t1.txt, which is already there with us, which we know is storing the contents, that is the 2 lines, hello Dr. Darshan, how is the training going on? I am asking him to add one more line to this particular file, and that line is hello students. Let me execute this cell. So I executed this. Now let me go and check the contents of that file. So I come over here, I come down, I have t1.txt, and I see my old contents are lost. Yes, can you see our old contents are lost? Yes, that's exactly how the working of the write function goes, guys. What does write function say? Every time you are going to open any particular file in a write mode, by default all of the old contents will be deleted by me, and I will be not overwriting over here, but I'll be simply deleting the old contents and simply typing it right from the start, considering it as a totally brand new file for me. So always my old contents would be deleted. That is the problem with the write function, and that's why we studied that there is one more way of opening a file, which is called as the append mode. Had I used the append mode over here, it could have got appended over there. So let me confirm that also. So let us execute this cell. So if we execute this cell, we can see we again got the contents. Hello Dr. Darshan, how is the training going on? I come back to cell number 8 and I say I want to open the file not in the write mode, but I want to open it in the append mode, and I press Ctrl Enter over here. So let me open this file again, and you can see hello students was appended to the file. So I hope these 2 modes, that is the append mode and the write mode, are clear to you guys. Any queries over there? Exactly, Ron, you are right. The file will be overridden. Any queries, guys? Do let me know any queries you have over here, at least till the point which we have covered. Guys, come on, we need interaction. Do let me know in the comment section. Do you have any queries? If not, you should type no. Great. So, yes, of course, there are some other ways of doing it also. As of now, let us focus on only this way. So I am executing only this cell again. I don't want the old content. So now when I execute this, we know that the file only has these 2 lines. Remember, I have executed this cell. So by default, the file has deleted all the contents and stored only these 2 lines for us, because I don't want the 3rd line to be coming as a hindrance for me. So let's go ahead. We know the file.closed attribute. Similarly, we have a file.mode attribute. Let us check what is it. Now, instead of file.closed, if I say file.mode and I press Ctrl Enter over here, it clearly tells us the mode in which the file is open. And we saw the file was open in the write mode, and therefore the output was Y. Similarly, we have a file dot name attribute also, which is going to return for us the name of the file. So over here, if I write name and press Ctrl enter, you can see the name of the file was t1.txt, and that was returned as the output to me, guys. Fine. So with this, let's go ahead. Coming on to the reading of the files. Now here comes the way we are going to read a file, guys. You can see the ways are more or less the same, and I hope now the things have been more simplified for you guys. So I say I want to read a file called as t1.txt in the read mode, and for reading the file I simply have a function called as read function. The only way to access it is using the file object, and therefore I say f.read, and by now every one of us is clear with it, guys. To access any function, it is simply object dot function name in Python, and I press a Ctrl enter over here, and you can see the entire contents of the file are available to me. And let us confirm that contents too. So we have this contents. Now guys, I want to add a few lines over here. Maybe I hope you are enjoying the session. Good morning. Like and subscribe the channel. And I write over here, let's upgrade. Now I have added some contents to this file manually, guys. Let me save it for us. So I say save this file and I close this. Now I come back to this cell and I say we have to open the t1.txt file. So if you remember, we have added the contents manually. So now when I say read this particular file, you can see the same contents of the file which are available in the notepad are available over here also for me. Fine, as simple as that. So let's go ahead. That is f.read. Similarly, we have some more versions of read also. So I go down over here and I simply type f.read of 4. Let us see what happens. That will make the things clear for us. F.read by default gave me the entire contents of the file. F.read of 4, F.read of 4, let me execute this, t1.txt, and I have over here f.read. Why is it not giving me any output? Let me try to have it inside a print function. Yes. Okay, so f.read of 4, what do we see over here? It is going to give me how many things from the file? The first 4 characters of the file. Let us say f.read of 7. So it will be giving me first 7 characters of the file. Similarly, if I say f.read of 38, let us see how the output comes, and you can see everything will be counted as a character. H is a character, E is a character, so on and so forth. Space is a character, dot is a character, and thereafter, if you remember, from this particular point we went to the new line which was /n. That was again a character. Okay, so f.read is going to work in this particular way. Similarly, I'm going to write a function over here, and you are now going to Google it out for me immediately in 10 seconds. What is the possible output, or what is the possible execution of this particular function? And the name of the function is simply read line. So go to Google, guys, and immediately tell me in the comment section that as read function is going to read the entire content, read of some numeric value is going to give me that many number of words. What is read line going to do it? Okay, the name of the function is also quite intuitive. You understand from the function name itself, but still confirm it from the Google whether whatever you are going to write in the comment section is right or wrong. Okay, just go to Google and see readline function of Python. I just want the readline function of Python. What is it going to do? Correctly said, guys, very correctly said. You all are right. By read line function is going to read only a single line for us. Okay, so maybe I cut this particular thing and I say it is going to give me this particular output. Again, if I say I am going to execute this particular part and I press an Control Enter over here, it is going to give me the next line. So if I want to read the file line by line, I'll be using a read line function. Okay, as simple as that. If I execute this one more time, it is going to give me the third line. I hope you are going to enjoy the session. If I execute one more time, good morning. If I execute it one more time, like and subscribe, let's upgrade. Now let's see what is going to happen. I executed one more time. You remember we came to a new line and that is the blank line which got executed. Once again, nothing is available. So when nothing is available, this function will not give us any output. Fine. So let me have a f dot close over here and finish it. I don't want this cell. Now, as you know, what is a read line function? I do have something called as read lines function. Again, the question comes to you guys. Let me know in the comment section, what is my read lines function going to do? Okay, so read line function is going to read a single line for us. So what is this read lines going to do? Okay, what is the read lines function going to do? Gayatri is right, Rohan is right, Akarshit is right, Sashishta is right. Okay, great guys, great, fine. So read line function is going to read all of the files, all of the contents of the file for us, but the output of this file will be in the form of a list. So when I press Control Enter over here, you can see I got all the contents of the file and the output is in the form of list. Okay, now I can actually access this particular list by, let's say if I store this particular thing inside maybe L. So what is going to happen is this entire name of the list would be L, and L of 0 would be hello Dr. Darshan, L of 1 would be how is the training going on, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's my read lines function. Let us go ahead and see what my tell function does guys. So read lines is clear to us, I execute it. Tell function is going to tell me how many number of characters are there in the file. So it will simply count the total number of characters in the file. So inside this hello Dr. Darshan, how is the training going on, there are total 145 lines. Similarly, let us say if I want to reduce the content of file to understand that tell function is actually doing the same thing, I am modifying the content to simply hello, Control S, Alt F4, and I go over here and I press Control Enter, and for hello you can see it has given me the output as 7. Why? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is 6 and this is 7, because there was a enter key pressed at the end, and therefore the number of the characters in the file are 7 guys. Okay, so that's how my tell function works guys. So here you can see when I press a Control Enter over here, let me modify the contents, else this won't work. So coming over here, I have to add something to this, so that added contents are available at the very start. So this is my write operation. Now let me go down over here. So I say over here t1.txt, I am going to read it line by line. So you can see there were only 2 lines, one was hello Dr. Darshan, and read line function has given me that, and f.tell says that there are 20 characters over here. Then I say read one more line, which was this, that is the second line, how is the training going on, and how many number of characters are there over here. It tells me there are total of 51 characters over here. Fine. Similarly, now I am going to open one more file, nothing to explain over here, this goes self-explanatory, simply opening a new file in the write mode because T3 does not exist. So the same content will be created in t3.txt. As we can see over here, one more file called as t3.txt got created for us. And now what am I doing over here is we are writing this content to this particular file, and our t3.txt will be replaced by this new contents. So this is something which I have already told you, and this yes. So since it was in the append mode, we see that these two lines were further appended by these two lines. So it did not get replaced because there was a append mode over there. That's fine. Okay. So here we complete the functions of the file. Now coming on to the applications and some small functions which we just left out. The first function is called as the rename function of the file. Now guys, you do see over here that we have two files, one is t1.txt, next is t3.txt. Let's say I want to change the content, or I want to change the name of this particular file which is called as t1.txt, maybe to darshan.txt. So what I do over here, I simply say import the OS module. Remember, we imported the math module. In the same way, we are going to import the OS module, and I use the rename function over here, which I say please rename the file t1.txt as darshan.txt, and just for a feel good factor, I write a print function over here saying that file renamed successfully. And I got an error over here, and the error was the process cannot access the file t1.txt. Let me confirm, do we have a file? Yes, we do have a file. So is it open in some way? No. Let me refresh this particular thing. Okay, and let us execute this. So let me not have a name Darshan, maybe we gave the name as t2.txt. Import OS, Control Enter, and still I am getting a permission error. It cannot access the file because it is being used by another person, t2.txt. So if I say old file and new file, it is still going to give me an error, t1.txt to t11.txt. let this be t1, this be, oh, I don't know guys, why is it giving an error? It should not give an error ideally. So maybe some permission error has occurred over here, which I will have to check out, but trust me guys, this does work. Sheer bad luck that it's not working. Let me try it once again. I am opening this particular file t3.txt in the write mode, Control Enter, and let us try to rename this t3.txt to darshan.txt. So I press enter. Oh, it got executed. Let us see whether our t3.txt got changed. Yes, we do not see anything called as t3.txt, rather the name was darshan.txt. So what happened in the previous case, maybe we did a lot of modifications to t1.txt and it may have landed in some corrupt state, or it may have been already open and therefore the renaming was not possible. So it's quite simple. If this notepad file is currently open, if I am not closing it and if I am trying to rename this particular file, it is going to give me an error. So the same error I think happened over there where it was giving me a permission error. Anyways, this got executed. Now coming on to the actual application of the file guys. So you can see over here this first three lines. These three lines are simply addition program where I say a equal to 1, b equal to 2, c is equal to a plus b and print c. Okay, so we know that a will be stored with the value called as 1, b will be stored with 2 and c will be stored with 3. Okay, if I execute only this particular part of the code, it is going to print me the value 3. Now what I say over here is I want the output, that is I want all of these three values to be stored inside a notepad file. So what I do over here, I simply say a equal to, now we know that a equal to is simply a normal string. With that I am appending, remember the append operation of the string guys. With that I am going to append the contents of a, and these contents of a are appending in the form of a string. So I am appending the contents of a, so it will be like a is equal to will be appended with the contents of a, that is 1, and further followed by a new line, so I will be going to a new line over there. So these all things will be appended in str1. Similarly, the next line str of 2 is going to store b is equal to 2. Similarly, the next line str of 3 is going to store c is equal to 3. So right now I have str1 is equal to this, str2 is equal to this, and my str3 is equal to this. Okay. Now what I do is I simply open a file in the write mode. As you can see over here, a file is opened in the write mode. I say f dot write str1, f dot write str2, and f dot write str3, and I simply close the file. Okay. Let this not be a file t1.txt. Let us say this file be let's upgrade.txt. Now I close the file and I have simply checked the closed attribute. Control. Okay. So let's see over here. Do we have a file called as LetsUpgrade.txt? Yes. And I have successfully saved the output. Now what is the advantage of this? Even if I turn off my computer and again open it, this output will never be lost because it is stored in my hard disk. So that's how the advantage of the file can be achieved. Now these are just basic file handling operations. When you are actually working with CSV file, JSON file, HTML file, at that time we are going to study the higher level of operations on file, and they are done using the pandas module. So right now we are not focused with that, we are only learning the txt files. Going ahead, the next is called as directories or folders. Now directories simply mean folders. By that I simply mean that this particular thing, as you can see over here, is a folder. If I right click over here, I go to new, I see over here an option called as folder. So what if I want to create a new folder? I simply say import my OS module and use the mkdir function. Now what is this function going to do? This is going to create a folder called as PyCharm. So once I press Ctrl enter over here, you can see in my Let's Upgrade a folder called as PyCharm got created, and of course the contents are empty. Now the next is called as get current working directory, which I have explained you twice before we came over here. os.get current working directory is going to tell me what is the current path I am working on, and this is the path, right? Similarly, if I want to change the current working directory, the function is chdir. Okay. Then further going ahead, now I want to delete that particular file or folder. So the folder name over there was PyCharm, and I am planning to remove that particular file. So I use the function remove directory. So let me execute it, and once I go over here, I see that I do not have PyCharm folder. Fine. Now let me once again create this PyCharm. So I execute cell number 47. Coming on to cell number 40, not 49, cell number 29, I say I am going to use the rename function, where I say the PyCharm was my older name, please rename it to NoCharm. Okay, so that's my old name, this is my new name. I press a Control enter over here and I check whether this has happened, and we have a folder called as NoCharm with of course no contents over here. Fine. So as a programmer, we should be well versed to use all of this right from the Jupyter notebook itself, rather than going to the operating system and doing it manually, because we are programmers and we should be able to do it. Next is os.listdir. I don't remember guys what is this particular thing going to do for me. Can you please find out on Google? os.listdir is going to help me with what exactly? So what is this os.listdir going to do for me, guys? Do let me know in the comment section really fast. Okay, what is this os.listdir going to do for me, this particular thing? And I will also like to know the full form of this particular thing. List dir means exactly what? What do you think could be the possible full form for list dir? Perfect, guys. List dir, when I execute this, you can see it has listed some of the files, and if you closely observe, the first is a folder called as ipynb checkpoints. Next are a few of my notebooks. Next we have the agenda.txt, darshan.txt, followed by some of the folders whatever are available in the Let's Upgrade. Everything of this got listed over there, as simple as that. So that's all with my files and directory, guys. So here we complete this particular topic and we move on to the next topic called as exception handling. So okay, so first and foremost thing, let us try to understand what is an exception. Okay, so for us to understand what is an exception, it is very important that we understand what is the difference between error and exception. So there is something called as error and there is something called as exception. Now error is something which we get due to a problem with the syntax, and exception is something which is called as a runtime error. So of course the thing seems to be confusing at the moment. Let me help you with what am I trying to say. So if I say over here a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2, c is equal to a plus c is equal to a plus b, and I simply say print c and I say control enter. What is the problem, guys? Can anyone help me out? A equal to 1, b is equal to 2, c is equal to a plus b, and print c. Yes, the code seems to be perfect. Still I am getting a name error. So can you help me out exactly what is the problem with this particular code? We have written a program to perform the addition of two numbers and I am having some problem over here. So operator missing. I have written the operator na, c is equal to a plus b, a plus b. Why is everyone pointing over that point? Plus 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 plus. Yes, we have written over here. Let me check printing of a. This is also working fine for me. Oh, again an error. What is the problem, guys? C, you, Anirban says c is equal to ab. You have written. So that's fine now. What is the problem with that? C is equal to ab. Niranjan plus is missing. Put plus in b slash w by Avnish. I made such a silly error, guys. I have written this program so many number of times and I am making this mistake. It's really shameful of me. So now when I execute this program, I get the output as 3. Fantastic, friends. We are going perfect. So what we happened or what we got just before this name error, this came because the name AB was not defined, and you can see over here such a thing is called as an error. Anything which comes due to a problem in the syntax, as we just saw over here, was called as an error, guys. So that's clear to us. So errors can be very well resolved, but there are also some type of errors which are not visible to us, guys. Let us look at this particular code. Do let me know in the comment section what is this particular cell number 3 aiming to do, guys. What is the output of cell number 3 going to be? What is the output of cell 3 going to be? division. Okay, so I press a Control Enter over here, and it is going to ask me first number. I am giving the first number as 4. It is asking me the second number. I am giving the second number as 2, and it is going to give me an answer. Perfect. So there is no error over here, so there is no problem. Let me execute it once again, guys. This time I am giving the first number as 0 and second number as 4. So 0 divided by 4 is going to give me the answer as 0. Absolutely no problem. So answer is perfect. Once again, I give the first number as 4 and I am giving the second number as 0. Can you tell me what is any number divided by 0? As per the rule of mathematics, if we are dividing any number by 0, what is the output? I want to know as per the rule of mathematics. I am not asking you with respect to programming, guys. What as per the rule of mathematics, what is going to be the problem? Any number divided by 0 gives me what? Infinity. Error तो नहीं आएगा ना. Vanshika, how can an error become? It is mathematics. I am asking you in mathematics. Yes, yes, perfectly pointed out. It is not defined. Some say it is infinity, and you are right. So any number may be 4 divided by 0. The answer as per mathematics is infinity. So when we have such a particular thing over here, and I press a 0 and press an enter, as per the coding, we see that we are getting a 0 division error, and that makes sense also, right? But guys, did you see a problem over here? The first program which I just told you, which was shameful of me, that error I made it purposely, of course, it's not shameful of me, let me tell you. So the problem over here is, if there was some problem with the syntax, what we get is called as an error, as we pointed out over here. An error comes because of the problem with the syntax. The moment you resolve this particular problem, you can see the output is going to work perfectly fine. But as far as this cell is concerned, when I executed this cell and I inserted proper numbers over here, I am getting the output. But the moment I enter numbers like 4 and 0, at that time only I am getting a error, and such a error which came while executing the program is called as an exception. Got it? Therefore I say exceptions are runtime errors. Let me show you one more example. I again put an enter over here. I am putting the first number as 4 and I am saying please divide this 4 by let's upgrade. And this time you see there is new type of error which has popped out, and this error is called as value error. Okay. Why does this thing particular happen? Because we are trying to convert the output of this input function to a integer value, which is not possible, and therefore it has given me a value error, guys. Similarly, if you execute it once again, and if I say let the first number itself be let's upgrade, and I press enter, at that point itself I see that it has thrown an error. So first time the error was thrown from this when I wrote let's upgrade for B, and for the latest execution error was thrown for this when I wrote the let's upgrade as A. But if I have proper numbers over here, I see that I am getting an answer. So that is what I mean to say, guys. Errors are something which come because of syntax. Exceptions are something which are called as runtime errors. So are you clear between the two concepts, guys? The difference between exceptions and errors, is it clear? Any problem with the concept of exception and error, guys? Do let me know fast. Okay, so I once again repeat, I did not do that mistake. That was done purposely. Okay, so it's not a shame on me. I repeat it once again for you. Great, great, great. Perfect. So now you understood what is the need for exception. Now let me tell you what exactly is the problem over here. Now when I execute the cell, I repeat over here, when I am executing this particular cell, as and when the things are going fine, I am okay with the output. But the moment I give some weird input, and which can always happen, just imagine you have given a addition program as a software to some client, and why don't you think as a programmer that yes, a client can give the first number as 4 and second number as 2. He can also give the first number as 2 and second number as 4, but he can also give the first number as 4 next as 0, or he can also give the first number as 4 next number as a string, or he can also give the first number as a string and next number as a proper number. So as a programmer, it is your duty to consider all of these possible combinations, right? So if you do not consider all of these combinations, you realize that you come across the topic that we are discussing called as exceptions, and all of the exceptions should be handled. The reason is very simple. I think the notebook got stuck over here. Let me restart it. So you can see the dot is black over here and it is unable to start. Cancel. Okay, it's done. So now we saw the problem over here, and we know that when I say 4 and 0, it is going to give me an error. And just imagine if you have given this particular code to the client and something like this pops up in front of client, the client will literally blame you, because he will say that your software has a lot of malfunctioning, it is not working as desired. So in this particular case, as a programmer, it is your duty that all of these exceptions are handled in a decent manner. Okay, so by decent manner, we are going to study the way of handling these exceptions sophisticatedly. Okay, so let us go back to the start of the chapter and understand what are exceptions and how to handle these exceptions. So first and foremost thing, guys, exception is an abnormal condition in the program. It is a runtime error. If we raise an exception, we can prevent the program from crashing. Okay, so coming on to this was already clear. Now following are the types of exception which exist in Python. We saw one of the exception as zero division error. We also saw key error. We also saw value error, right? Index error was also seen when if a list consists of only 3 elements, and if I say please access the 30th element of the list which does not exist, it is going to give us an index error. So many types of exceptions are there, guys. When I will be sharing the notebook with you, you can of course read it. Arithmetic exception occurs when you have numeric calculation error. Overflow exception occurs when you are dividing and the number of division maybe if the answer turns out to be 0.22222 dot 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 up to infinity, it is a recurring answer. So in that way overflow error may occur. Or let's say you are multiplying very two big numbers, maybe 999950 times multiplied by 999950 times, the answer is going to be very big and the Python interpreter will not be able to handle it. In that case, overflow error will occur. Zero division error we just saw. Import error, if a import fails, that is if I say import OS module exists, so it is going to work fine. If I say import math, that also exists. But if I say import ABC, there is nothing called as ABC. Therefore, at that time import error would be thrown. So on and so forth, so many types of errors are there. The father of all these type of error is called simply as exception. Okay, so I say it is the base class for all the exceptions. So if you do not know what type of exception will be thrown, maybe it is zero division error or it is an arithmetic error, I will simply say let's ask the beast of it to catch all of the exception, that is the main exception with E capital. So let's go down and see how to handle the exceptions. So here we come across, let me have it perfectly. Okay. Now how do I go about it? Here I simply say, we know that what is the problem, why is the problem occurring? The problem is occurring because of the input. So I say use a try clause. Okay. So every exception or every line of code which I feel is going to generate a problem would be put inside a try clause. Now how is the try clause going to work, guys? It is going to be try this particular set of lines. If they are working fine, I am good. if they are not working fine, you have to catch this particular exception in any of the exception class and print whatever thing you want to do. Okay, rather as of now only understand that when I say I want to handle the exception sophisticatedly, I'll be just identifying the lines which are causing me an error, and over here we know that the lines which are causing an error are these 4 lines. So what can I do over here? I simply say over here, put all of these lines in the try clause. So let me copy these lines rather than writing it again. So I come over here, I paste these lines, let it go this side, here also this side, okay, and I say except followed by, I'm calling the father of all exception, which is simply exception, and I print over here something is wrong. Okay, so let me go ahead and try to show you the execution of this. Now guys, what is going to exactly happen over here? Now the first time, let us say I am giving the first number as 4 and second number as 2. What exactly happens? The control, whenever it comes inside a try, it will understand that whatever is written from here to here may generate an exception. So the moment a compiler, the moment the interpreter executes a try clause, it understands that whatever is written inside me are a set of lines which may generate an exception, that is the runtime error. So it is going to start. So user first time enters 4, so A was assigned a 4, it did not generate an exception. Second time the user inputs the second number as 2, so B was stored as 2, still it did not generate an exception. Then over here we say C is equal to 4 divided by 2, the answer turns out to be 2.0, this is also fine. And when I say print C, the output, that is 2.0, will be printed. So now the best part of this is that the try function, when executed these all 4 lines, found that none of them did generate an exception. In that particular case, the control from here straight away jumps to the next line, which unfortunately does not exist, and therefore it stops over here itself. So when I press an enter over here, I see the normal output. Now let me show you what is going to happen in the other case. I press Ctrl enter, I give the first number as 4 and the second number as 0. In this case, the first number 4 will be stored inside A, and the moment I try to store the second number 0 inside B, I will be accepting a number over here. This 0 would be converted to integer and stored inside B. So line number 1 and line number 2 works perfectly fine. But the moment I come over here and I say C is equal to A divided by B, that is 4 divided by 0, I see that it is going to throw me an exception. And what is the name of the exception? Zero division exception. Now the moment you come across this particular exception, control over here will understand that yes, I am in a try block and some exception has been thrown. I repeat the words, control understands that an exception has been thrown. So immediately control from here jumps and tries to search for a except clause. So anything which is written after this particular line, like this print C, will be by default skip. It will jump on to except clause, and except clause says that I have thrown. Now when a control jumps from here, it is going to throw which exception? Zero division error, which we just saw above. So ZDE, that is going to be thrown over here, would be cast inside the father of all the exceptions, which is called as exception, and it is simply going to print for us something is wrong. So you can see over here. Now the client will not be frightened by looking at the output. So this is a very good and legitimate way of handling it, guys. Now let me execute it once again. Let us say first number is 4 and second is some string. Again, what happened in this particular case was initially the control had A equal to 4, but over here the immediate string DA was unable to be converted by int. So control directly jumped from this line searching for an except clause, and when it came over here, it did not throw a zero division error, guys. The exception which was stored over here was what? Value error, right? So value error is saying that this value cannot be converted to an integer, and as you know that since this is the father of all the exception, it can catch any type of exception. And once you execute this particular cell, you say something is wrong. However, if we write over here simply zero division error, this simply means that this exception can catch only one type of exception, which is called a zero division error. So let me execute it. First number is 4 and second number is 0. So control straight away 4 divided by 0 from C line it came to except, and something is wrong. However, if I give the first number as 4 and second number as a string called as DA, at that time this DA was unable to be converted to integer, and control from D straight away jump to the except clause. So control from D straight away jump to the except clause, and it will try to search for the except clause if it is able to catch value error. Unfortunately, this except clause can catch only zero division error. So when you execute this particular cell and press an enter, we see that this particular thing was unable to catch it, and again a new exception got generated. So is it clear, guys, what is the meaning of the father of all exception clauses? That is simply exception. It is always advisable to write it if you don't know what all types of exceptions are going to be generated. Any queries over here, guys? Is it clear to you guys? Any problem over here? Are you understanding the concept of exception and what is the need for exception? Are you understanding the concept of exception and what is the need of exception? Yes, you are right. Try clause helps in skipping the syntax error. Ajit Kamath has given a question. So what is the need of having so many exceptions? Ajit, we have so many exceptions because as a programmer it is not advisable to use simply the father of all exception called as EXCEPTION with E capital, because it will be capable of catching all, but it will be slowing down the performance of the system. So if you know that only two types of exceptions are going to be thrown, simply write those exceptions rather than writing it by simply this particular way. So if I want to catch that also, I can also do that. I say except value error, and here I am again printing something, and let this print be, I print over here divide by 0 is not possible. Try again, and here in case of value error I give please enter numeric values. Try again. Now let me execute this for you guys. So this particular try clause has two except clauses, and yes, this is also allowed. So in this way any number of except clauses can be there. So first time if I give the right input 4 and 2, I see that everything was perfect, and therefore all of this try perfectly generated and all of these except clauses got skipped. Except clauses will only be called if an exception is generated. So the first number is 4, second number is 0. You can see what happened over here. 4 got stored over here, 0 got stored over here. This generated a problem, and it went in the search of zero division exception, which it found over here, and it printed this particular line, and this got skipped. Now let's say I gave the first number as 4 and second number as DA. It has gone into this particular line saying that please enter numeric values. What happened over here? This was 4. This got DA. The conversion was not possible. Control jump from here by throwing a value error. Value error, it checked over here. It was unable to catch the value error. It jumped to the next except clause because it was available. Had it not been available, Python's default exception handler would have caught that exception and thrown us a big message in red, which is thrown usually by the interpreter. But now since it is available, we can handle this exception sophisticatedly and ask the client with a proper message, please enter numeric values, try again. So in this way guys, I can have n number of exceptions to be caught. Fine. So that's my thing on exception guys. Till now so far, any queries? Again guys, I will like to tell you that as far as the assignments are concerned, do get enrolled at community.letsupgrade.in to get acquainted with the community platform and get all of your doubts clarified with the help of the community people available over there. Professors as well as students are available over there. And do like and subscribe this channel if you are enjoying the sessions. So great. Sir, then we must know what all are the exceptions are there, right? Yes, of course, Palani, you should know what all are the types of exceptions, and simply by googling it out you will understand. But the one which I listed are the most frequent type of exceptions. If I give try exception, I want to know which error or command or code. I am not able to get your question. Please write it properly, Nikhil. Let's go ahead. Okay. Now, next is again working of this particular thing. Now, while true means keep on repeating the same thing again and again unless and until the condition becomes false. So now, while true is basically an infinite loop. Let's not go into the details right now. If I say while true, I will just like to say that the content right from here, if I say while true, the content right from here to here will be executing for infinite number of time, guys. So let us go over here. So for the first time when it starts the execution, it will go down, accept a number, and let's say if I enter a number like 2, it is going to print me entered number is 2, and after printing that particular number I immediately say that break, and we know break statement is used to get out of the loop, right? So let me tell you what I mean by that. So I have execution of the cell asking me a number, I am entering a number 45, it is saying me entered number is 45, and immediately after that break is going to terminate this entire loop. If I do not write a break over here, then this thing will be executed again and again. So let me show you that. I press Ctrl Enter, it is asking me a number, I say 32, entered number is 32, and since it is while true, this thing is going to work infinite number of times, asking me 1 again, number is 12, enter number is 12. If I say number is 54, enter number is 54. If I say number is 758, enter number is 758. If I say the number is A, now be careful guys, if the number is A cannot be converted to an integer value, so it will be throwing an exception and coming to this particular clause for the first time and print there was no valid number, please try again. It did that, and again it came over here saying enter a number, and you keep on entering the value and keep on playing. Problem over here is we skip this break part and we are unable to get out of it. You can see over here, and now you cannot simply say okay sir, if that is the case let's go to the new cell and do our execution. You will not be able to do it guys, because observe this particular part, this dot as I told you is not hollow right now, it is busy. And the reason it is busy is because the enter is still accepting some input, right? And now in such a case the notebook has gone into an hanged state, and to come out of that I will have to stop the execution. So I create a stop over here and I interrupt the kernel and I say restart the kernel. So it says all the variables would be lost, that is everything that we have executed above this notebook will be lost. Okay, no problem, we don't have a choice, so I say restart. Just observe this part now. Kernel is ready and we are set to go. So we understood over here what is the significance of break. Fine. So I hope the while true loop is clear to you guys. If you want to execute something infinite number of times, write while true, and there has to be some condition to break it, else you are gone. Fine. So coming down, yes, the next part, there is also something called as a version of this which is called as try some set of lines. Okay, let me explain you over here. This is called as try except else clause. What it means over here is, try this set of lines. If they are generating any exception, let this except clause catch this particular exception, and if this try statement is not generating any exception, please jump on to the else clause and print these all lines. Got it? So it is more of like a if else statement. If this particular part which you are going to try is generating an exception, jump onto this. If this particular part is not generating an exception, jump onto this. Fine. And now we can see we have made the code a more simpler. We see that if you observe the previous code which was having these 3 lines along with the printing of the variable c, right? So previously the code was something like this. We had a print c over here. Now guys, you have to closely identify which all lines were the potential lines for generating an error. This line was generating an error for us. Maybe if I give a number like alphabets, this line was generating an error for us if I give some alphabets as input or a 0 as input. This line was generating an error for us because the division by 0 error may occur, but this line in any case was not going to generate an error for us. This was ideally a safe line. So why to have this safe line? Why to have this safe line in the try clause? By that I mean to say, all those lines which have a potential of generating exceptions, only that should be placed inside the try clause. Rest all can be placed inside a else clause. So the significance and the importance of this will be clear when you have actually a program having 10,000 lines of code. So just imagine if your code is going to consist of 10k lines, you cannot write all of these 10k lines in the try clause. You have to be intelligent enough to only write the lines which are going to generate exception in the try clause, and the normal lines should be written in the else clause, and that is the reason Python has this particular feature. So now of course the output is going to remain the same. The first is 2, second is 4, I get the answer. Next time I generate first is 4, second is 0. What happens in this particular case is same thing. 4 gets stored over here, 0 gets stored over here, and unfortunately this generates an exception. It jumps onto the except clause, and do you see over here I have not even written this particular father exception over here. Still it is able to catch because Python says by default I know who he is, so I will catch it. Don't worry about it. You need not even write it, I will catch it. However, if you want to be specific, maybe like 0 division error or value error, then you are supposed to write it compulsorily over here. So I say except print something is wrong. So this is going to generate an error. However, if this line did not generate an error, if the inputs were perfect, maybe like 2 and 4, this gets executed and control will directly jump from here to else clause, and this was not there, this is not required, I forgot to delete it. So that's how we have it. Once again we execute first number 4, second number 2, we get the output. Once again we execute first number 4, second number 0, something is wrong. Once again we execute first number is DA, and directly it is going to tell me something is wrong. So this is my try except else clause, guys. So the next thing that we have over here, last maybe 5 minutes to complete this chapter, we can have multiple except clause, which I just told you about, and this multiple except clause can also have a else clause at the end. So I execute this particular cell, and if I give the first input of x as 0, 0 will be stored inside x, and 100 divided by 0 is going to generate me a 0 division error, and control will straight away jump over here. It will print this except clause and it will skip this else clause. Okay. However, if the number is perfect, maybe like 50, so 100 divided by 50 gets executed, and since everything is right, control straight away jumps to the else clause and this gets printed. However, if you enter the first number as a string, this line itself is going to generate an exception. Control straight away takes a value error to be thrown and this gets caught over here. Since it was caught over here, this gets executed and remaining everything below it gets skipped, and we see that the value is not int type. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so this is another simple thing that you should understand. I need not write except clause one below the other again and again. If I want to write a common message for all the errors, maybe something like something is wrong, I can also write all of these exceptions in the form of a tuple, that is simply in a round brackets. So if anything goes wrong over here, control will straight away jump to this. If it is throwing a value error, it will be caught by this. If it is throwing a zero division error, it would be caught by this, and whatever type of error comes, by default I will be printing something is wrong only. And if no errors are generated by each of this line, control will directly jump onto the except clause and print this particular line, that is the expected answer for this. Fine. So I hope this is also clear to you guys, except clause with multiple attributes. Any queries over here? Because then we are going to jump onto the final small two topics. Any queries over here, guys? Do let me know fast. Krishna, Google out for your answer. It's quite simple. Why doesn't it write Unicode numeric values? Great. Okay. Now, going on to the last part of the exceptions, which is called as try followed by finally. Now, here is again an important thing. What exactly happens over here? We know the working of this. Now, if you see the structure of cell number 16, we have something written in the try clause. So there are a set of statements which may generate an exception, and if an exception is generated, the except clause will be catching it and printing whatever it wants to, and if exception is not generated, it is going to print this particular thing. Okay. But apart from this, we do also see something called as a finally clause over here, and it also has a set of lines. Let me tell you what happens over here. If this try clause is generating any exception, control will jump on to the except clause and execute this particular part, and after executing this particular part, control will jump on to the final clause and execute this part. Okay, I repeat, if this try statement generates an exception, except clause would be called, it will execute the except clause part, and after executing this, control will jump to the finally clause and execute the finally part. Okay, so in the first case, exception is generated. I write in the first case an exception was generated and the finally clause was called. Now let me explain you the second case. Okay, so in the second case, I am executing this thing in the try clause. Exception did not got generated, therefore everything is perfect and it will jump on to the else clause as expected. This line would be executed, and after this it will again jump on to the finally clause and this would be executed. So my case 1 says, if an exception is generated, my finally is called, and my case 2 says, if an exception is not generated, still my finally is called. That is the meaning of it, guys. finally clause is a clause which will be called irrespective of whether an exception is generated or not. Don't ask me the application of it right now. First, let's try to understand the concept and then we'll come back to the application part of it. So finally clause is something which are going to be a set of lines which are always going to be generated, be an exception generated or not. So let me show you the same thing, guys. So I say over here, press a Control Enter. First time I am giving a normal number, maybe 20. So 100 divided by 20 is going to give me perfect answer. Control from here is directly going to jump on 100 divided by 20 is going to jump on over here and it is going to print the answer as 5. So let us check, are we going to get it? So it will print the answer as 5, and yes, one more thing, after this control again jumps on to the finally clause and it is also going to print end of the program as expected. So I execute this. Oh sorry, I pressed Control Enter, I need to restart it. Okay, I press number 20, I press Enter, you can see output in the else clause and finally clause got executed. Now let me tell you what is going to happen if I am entering a number maybe like 0. So if I enter a 0 over here, that is fine, but 100 divided by 0 on the second line is going to throw me a 0 division error. So I will go to the except clause, this will be caught over here, it will be printing something is wrong, and after this control jumps to the finally and prints end of the program. So let's confirm this thing for us. I am going to give the input as 0 and see the finally clause is again printed. The same thing is going to happen, guys, if I give a input like Darshan. So Darshan also cannot be converted to an integer and value error would be thrown, and again the same thing would happen. So I come over here in this try finally clause, I press Control Enter, the input is Darshan and I press Enter, something is wrong. So that is the meaning of finally clause. Finally clause means it is going to execute irrespective of the exception being generated or not. Now coming on to the application of finally clause, guys, if you have a finally clause, do you really require a finally clause? The answer to this is of course yes. Where? A very simple example where finally clause is very popularly used is called as my file handling. How? Let's say I am writing something in my try clause, and what is that something? Inside this try clause I am opening a particular file and I am writing something into this particular file. And now let's say while writing something into this particular file, if everything is fine, the except clause will not be called, right? So the except clause will not be called and rather a else clause would be called and this will be executed. Fine. And I have my finally clause over here which will also be executed. So I am opening a file over here, I am also writing something over here. Okay. Now let's say I have my closing function inside the else clause. Now how the thing is going to execute if we do not have a finally clause? So let's say if you don't have this particular circle part, control will go into the try statement, it will write everything, and if everything is perfect it will go on to the else clause and close that particular file. However, if some problem occurs while opening and writing the file, the control will jump on to the except clause, and after except clause control simply comes out without going to the else clause and the file is going to remain open only, right? So if we are coming across an exception, the file is not getting closed. So what we have to do in this particular case, I have to add a clause over here also. So even if even if the try statement generates an exception, close will be called, and even if it does not generate an exception, a close will be called. I say why to do all these things? Why not use our finally clause? By that I simply say, if we have the close function included in the finally clause, if this try is working perfectly fine, else would be called and file would be closed. If this try generates an exception, exception would be called and file would be closed. So that is where my finally clause is going to come into picture, guys. Any queries over here in the finally clause? What is the application of finally clause? Or all of you are very clear with this thing? Do let me know in the comment section, guys. Are all of you clear with this particular concept, the use of the finally clause? Any queries in this particular part? Okay, if you are liking it, do like and subscribe the channels so that you stay on with all the updates. Finally used to avoid a catch. Yes, you're right. But we do not have a catch over here. Catch is present in Java. Shashista, it's not possible to explain once again. You will be having the videos available with you. Simply go to the link after the session and just go through the concept once again. Can we go to the beginning of the program after an exception? No, you cannot go because it is not designed in such a way. And if you still want to go, yes, there are some alternatives to it, but changing the flow of the program abruptly is an indication that you are a very bad programmer. So please don't try all such things. Great, guys. So with this, I'm done with the exception, and as I told you, we are going to have the next thing available to us. Control N. In the agenda part, as I promised you, we are also going to cover map, filter and lambda function. Let's see how much of it is possible to be covered over here. So we have okay. Now guys, as we all saw today, we covered file handling and exception handling. Yes, apart from that, we do have assignment for today that you have to do it. And one question for the assignment, which I'll be discussing after the lecture. But there is one more question in the assignment which I have not mentioned, but that is also a part of assignment, is to prepare this notebook as you see over here. So I'll be sharing with you these two notebooks, that is a file handling and exception handling notebook will be shared with you, but the map, filter and lambda function notebook is not going to be shared with you. That is going to be your question number 2 for the homework. One question I'll be discussing at the end, and next question would be preparing a similar kind of notebook on your own and ensure that all of the code which I taught you is covered in that notebook. So let's go to this. Now this notebook is going to explain to us what is the meaning of filter, map and reduce functions. These are higher level functions in Python and are very popularly used in data science. Filter, map, reduce, lambda, you can see almost all of the ML algorithms wherever you feel a call to a function is required, filter, map and reduce functions are popularly required. So these functions enable the functional programming aspect of Python. Now what do I mean by that? See, functional programming means in Python we can see that everything is available in the form of functions to us. If you want to convert anything into a list, you have a list function available. If you want to print something, there is a print function available. If you want to typecast, there is a typecast function available. So on and so forth, like finding the maximum in the list or appending anything to the list, or maybe adding anything to the list or replacing something from a list, so on and so forth, in strings also. So to achieve any kind of functionality, we have a lot of functions available in Python, and that is the reason Python is called as functional programming language. Okay. And what is the beauty of functional programming language? You just have to know one thing, that is the way to pass the arguments. If you know the way to pass the arguments, you are okay, because you need not know the logic of it, how is the code written. It's as simple as simply passing the desired arguments and getting the output. These functions can take any other function as a parameter and can be supplied to other functions as well. Now coming on to the very first function, guys, map function. Now you will not understand this map function immediately, you will take some time, and trust me, it's quite simple. So let me start with it. If you look at map function, first and foremost, just observe at the syntax of the map function. Map function says I want two things. First is going to be another function which you are going to call. Okay, I want two things. First is going to be whatever function you are going to call, and second thing is going to be your iterables. I repeat, I am not writing iterable, it is iterables. Now by iterable I mean anything which can be iterated with the help of a for loop. So I can iterate a list with the help of a for loop, I can iterate a tuple with the help of a for loop, I can iterate a dictionary with the help of a for loop, or I can also iterate a string with the help of a for loop. Anything which is iterable in nature can be passed as the second argument, and first argument is simply going to be the function for us. Fine. So with this in mind, I simply say over here, let us see a very simple function before going on to the map function. We have a simple function over here called as SQR of A, which is going to return to us A multiplied by A. Fair enough. So if I give a call to SQR of 5, we know that it is going to jump over here, take a value 5 with it. So 5 will be copied inside A, and it is going to return me 5 square, that is 25, and control from here is going to jump to the same line because a return statement is there, and we know the output x is equal to 25 will be available over here, and when I execute this particular cell, it is going to give me the output as 25. No wonder about it. So we got the output also as x is equal to 25. Now how the same thing can be implemented with the help of a map function, and what will be the advantage of it? So let me go down and tell you, map function applies to the given function. Map function applies the given function to all the iterables and returns a new list. Let's go down and try to understand over here. Do you see the function still remains the same? So I have absolutely no change in the function, but now I am going to call a map function here. So what I say over here, let us call a map function, and we know that map function takes two things. First is the function and second is the iterables. So the function which I want to call is SQR. Previously you can see SQR was taking one parameter. Here I am going to simply write the name of the function, that's it. You can see there is nothing else. So first parameter is a function with no parenthesis also, okay, and the second is going to be iterables. So let me pass a iterable over here. A list is an iterable, so I say okay, let me pass 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. Okay, so as you can see, the map function over here precisely consists of only these two attributes. The first is SQR and the second is our iterables. And I now go to the next line, and I'm going to store the output of this in X. And let me go down and I say, why not try printing the value of X? And I press a Control Enter over here, and I do not get an output as expected. So what I do, if you remember this particular line, it applies the given function to all the iterables and returns a new list. So instead of printing X, I say I want to print X converted into list, and we get the answer. So let's try to understand what is happening over here. As expected, map function is taking two arguments. The first is our function and the second is the list because it is an iterable. Now what happens over here when you pass a function and list over here? This function is straight away going to jump and give a call to sqr function, and while going it is going to take this iterable with us. So 1 2 3 4 will be passed over here. So a will be storing a list and every time you will be returning 8 square. So the magic of this is 1 square 1, 2 square 4, 3 square 9 and 4 square 16 would be calculated all together because a map function is associated with it. And what is going to be obtained over here inside x when it comes back is going to be this entire thing. Now this x is called as a map object, and if you want to print the map object, we saw that we have to use the list function, and that's how simple it is, guys. So the moment you do Control Enter on this, you see that you are going to get the square of this. You increase the size of this, maybe 3,22. So now you will be getting square of all these numbers. Next important thing, this need not be compulsory a list, guys. You can also write tuple of x. The output would be in the form of tuple. You can also write maybe set of x. So output will be in the form of set. You cannot write dictionary, that will not work. And yes, of course, I understand set is not there in our syllabus, but it is still one of the data structure. So let us stick on to list only. Not a reason to worry for that. And we get the working of a map function. Any queries in this particular thing, guys? Map function comma iterables. Do you have any queries till now? Do let me know any queries on the map function. Any queries on the map function, guys? This is very popularly used in data science. So if you have any queries, you have to tell it right now. Because we have just looked at one example of map functions. Still more are going to come. Why to convert to list? Because we saw just by printing x, we see that a map object is printed. And to print the contents of the map object, we have to either get it converted to list or tuple or set. Okay, so it's kind of a compulsion introduced by Python. Tuple of x, Prashant, should ideally work. You can see it is executing in my cell, but it's really not a reason to worry at the moment. If list is working, please go ahead with it. How to use input from user? Have some patience, we'll be coming to that. Great. So further going ahead, guys, to the next thing. As I told you, this is not iterable, it is iterables. So let me have one more map function defined over here. I say x is equal to map. The function to be called is sqr, guys. Once again I say the function to be called is sqr. This sqr is not accepting a single value as it was accepting above. This sqr is accepting two values. So I have to give two iterables in this case, and that is the reason I have written iterables and not iterable. So let me give two lists over here. My first list be 1, 2, 3, 4, comma, my second list be standard values so that we can easily check our answer. Okay, so I'm going to press a Control Enter on this. You can see when I say print x, map object got printed. When I say print type of x, here you can see it is nothing but the type is class map. But when I say print list of x, what happened was this particular thing. When the control went from here to the function called as sqr, it took two lists. The first is this and the second is this. So these two things were copied into A and B respectively. And when I say A into B, guys, this one got multiplied with this 2 and we can see the output as 2. Then this 2 got individually multiplied with this 2 and we can see the output as 4. Similarly, 3 into 2 gave me the output as 6 and 4 into 2 gave me the output as 8 respectively. So I hope the concept of iterables is also clear to you guys. Any queries over here? So if you have understood this particular thing, do let me know what is going to happen if I write a minus sign over here. So if I have a minus over here, and if I say what is going to be the final output of this, do let me know, guys, what will be the output of this. I'm waiting for your answers. Okay, the only change is instead of A star B, I have made it as A minus B. Okay, I'm waiting for the yes, many of them are getting it perfectly. The map function, yes, going good. So far, so forth, we are going perfect. Yes. So, yes, A minus B would be individual subtraction of the corresponding list elements. And one more thing, guys, we can also write the same thing like this. See, now I am going to comment out all of these lines, just another way of writing it. Why to do all these things? Why not simply say directly whatever you are going to get the output of this map function, please convert it to the list. Okay, and got it? So whatever was the output of this map function, I immediately converted it to a list, and immediately after converting it to a list, I say why not immediately print this particular thing. So now you will be getting the same answer. The reason I did not tell you this approach at the start is it would have definitely created some kind of confusion in your mind as to what is happening. But again, did you see over here the level of function composition that we have achieved? Print has list, list has map, map has SQR, and SQR indirectly has its own body, right? So it is a 4 level of nesting or 4 level composition that we have achieved over here. Fine. So this is also fine, or the other approach is also fine to us. So the next thing that we have is the lambda function, guys. So we have last 10 minutes with us. If you are understanding everything, please do like and subscribe the channel. Let's move down to the lambda function. Now in lambda function, I will like to explain you something in short. In programming, let us say if I want to store a value 1, I had to write A is equal to 1. If I had to write a value 2 or store a value 2, I had to write a variable B. That is, this initializations of the variable was mandatory for us, right? But seldom it is often required that I just want to use these values and not write the variable names. And those type of functions that we are going to see right now are going to be called as the lambda functions or the lambda variable or the lambda expressions. So let me explain you what I am trying to say. Everything in the world of programming is going to require a name, but still there are few anonymous mysteries. Lambda functions or lambda expressions are one of these kind of entities that are nameless in nature. So first and foremost thing that you have to remember about the lambda function is that they do not have any name. Okay, even if you have not understood what is the meaning of this line, that's fine. What is important is they do not have any name, so they are anonymous or nameless functions. They are generally provided as input to other functions, and they are single line functions. Okay, coming on, lambda is not a name, it is a keyword, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and come back to the theory later on, guys. So further going ahead, as you see over here, this is my normal function, nothing to explain. When I give a call to SQR of 3, we know that 3 is going to be over here. It is going to return 3 into 3 and the output is 9 as expected. So no wonder why are we getting the output as 9 over here. What if I say I want to use the same thing using a lambda function? Okay, SQR of 3 was giving a call over here and returning to me 3 into 3, and that got printed automatically. If I want to implement the same thing with the help of lambda function, initially I will have to use a keyword called as lambda, and I say I'll be having argument placed over here. So observe over here, lambda function says I want two things. First is argument separated by colon and expression, very much similar to the dictionary key value pair, guys. So I want the argument colon expression with me. So I say, okay, I want to implement the square function. So I say the argument with me is a, and the expression which I want to be executed on a will be a multiplied by a. Okay. Now I am going to give this particular lambda function some name. So let me say the name of this function is x. And if I want to call 3 on this particular function, I just have to say x of 3. Everything will become clear, just have some patience, and I execute this particular cell. I get the answer as 9 over here. So let me tell you what happened over here. First and foremost thing, the syntax of the lambda function is initially tell me what is the argument, next you tell me what is the expression. Similarly, I say over here the argument is my a and expression that you have to execute is a multiplied by a. So now what happened over here is the way for calling the lambda function is different. The name for this lambda function is x, but we are not using any keyword called as def over here, guys. The simple name for this function is called as x, and since x is a function, internally you should visualize x like this. So if I want to pass 3 to this function, I cannot simply say x, but I have to say pass 3 to this function. What happens, control internally directly comes from here to here, takes a value 3 with it, and this 3 will be substituted in place of a. What is going to happen with this 3? 3 multiplied by 3, and whatever is the answer of 3 multiplied by 3 would be returned to x, and if you print this you will be getting the answer as 9. Okay, so that's how my lambda function goes, guys. Okay, so this is just a very basic example of lambda function. We are yet to study some more complicated examples, but I hope at least this thing is clear to you guys. Okay. Now, of course, a question might be coming in your mind that if my normal functions are going to work perfectly fine, why are we going to go for lambda functions? So, many a times in programming, we come across situations where we don't want a program to call a function again and again. Let us say I have written a function to calculate the area of rectangle. So area of rectangle is going to take as input two things, and it is going to perform some kind of computation. Now let's say if I want to calculate the area, so I simply say call the function area of rectangle and pass two values, so 2, 5. So if I write this entire thing in the print function, I will be getting the answer. If I want to call this particular thing once again, I again say area of rectangle 9, 3. So let's say if I want to call this area function 500 number of times, I will simply say for I in range 500, that is 0 to 499, simply call the function area of rectangle, and over here you can say accept an input over here, so int input followed by second would also be int input. So this also works fine over here. So now what is going to happen over here is this particular function would now be called total of 500 number of times. So now if we are going to use a function exhaustively, maybe for 500 or 1000 number of times, it is advisable to write the function separately and call it with the help of a for loop, because if you are doing this particular set of operations again and again, you will have to write these lines 500 number of times repeatedly. So to avoid this, we use the functions. But many a times in the area of data science, we do come across situation where we have to create a function, maybe let's call the function as x. It has some lines, and this x function is not going to be called 500 times as it was called over here, but the calling for this x function was going to be only once. So if we are going to call a function only once or twice, it is advisable that rather than creating your own functions as you did over here, we go for lambda functions. And the advantage of lambda is that the code is going to be short, the processing is going to be fast, and with the help of this, I need not define the function. It can be straight away executed in a single line itself. So let me explain you what I mean by further going into the lambda chapter. Just a second, guys. Okay, so that was my basic lambda function. I hope at least these two functions are clear to you. That is my cell number 4 and cell number 13, so that we can go ahead to the last cell number 6 now. Any queries till here in the lambda function, guys? Yes, Palani, the concept of lambda function will take some time to get it digested into the brain. So you rightly said it that you will have to watch the recording once again, or maybe I will have to slower down the pace of teaching. But considering the syllabus to be covered, that's not possible. But watching the video again is always possible. So do that, please. So please do that. Lokesh, I'll be coming to this. We are still left with the lambda function. So let me go ahead and yes, guys, I am again telling you, understanding lambda function is going to take some time. So have some patience. We are yet to cover a lot on lambda function. This is just the start of it. Till now, if you have understood whatever I have told till this point, it's more than sufficient. Like in this case, as I told you, for normal functions, when you say 3 will be passed over here and 3 square would be returned over here, and it is going to print the answer as 9. The same thing happened over here. Lambda says I want two things. The first is going to be my argument and second is going to be my expression. So I say the argument is my a and the expression is multiply a with itself. And I am going to give this lambda function a name, and the name of the function is x. So if I want to call the x function with any value, I will have to pass the value inside it. The moment you give a call like this, control jumps over here and this 3 is copied over here. 3 multiplied by 3 is going to happen because this argument has this expression. So 3 into 3 equal to 9 gets executed, and this 9 would be immediately returned over here, and you can see it in the output. If you have understood only this much, this is also sufficient as of now. Okay, later on all of these things will become more and more clear to you. So let us look at one last lambda function. Of course we have many more, but for today one more lambda function. So over here you can see this is another way of what have we done over here. See, there is a function ABC and it is going to return something with the help of lambda. Let's try to understand. First and foremost thing, you can see that this is a user defined function, as I told you. So that's fine, it is a user defined function, so this thing would be skipped. Now I say ABC of 4, control will straight away jump from here to here and 4 would be copied over here. When it comes inside this, it understands that it has to do 4 plus y, and what is y is still not clear to it. Fine. So what will be stored inside t would be 4 plus y. What would be stored inside t would be 4 plus y, and unless and until I supply the value of y, this concept will remain incomplete. So now if I execute print t, I can see that the lambda function will get printed but not the output. But if I want the output of t, I will have to supply t a value. So I say t of phi. Now this phi would be substituted in this place of y, and 4 plus phi 9 would be stored inside y, and the output would be thrown as 9. So once again, when I execute this, you can see the output to be thrown as 9 over here, guys. Okay. So I again tell you, it is going to take some time to digest in your brain, and there are few more examples which are yet to be covered, as you can see in cell number 7, cell number 8, cell number 9, cell number 10. Okay. By the time we cover everything up to cell number 10, the entire concept of lambda function would be 100% in your brain. But till now, if you are clear with whatever we have done at this particular point, that should be more than sufficient. Okay. So just ensure that you understand the working of lambda function till the point which we solved. So with this, guys, I am stopping today's session, and since I was the one who gave you the assignment for yesterday, let me discuss those assignments also. So the solutions are already available to you in the link. So this is my Defi assignment. I did not open this. This is my PDF file. Okay. So coming down, the first question over here was given an input as 4, generate 1 1 2 4 3 9 4 16. That is, go from index location 1 right up to index location 4 and generate the squares in the form of a dictionary. So I have the solution over here for you, and that's as simple as I told you. N is equal to input is going to take the input. So let us say 4 is taken as input. This has created a empty dictionary for me, guys. Now when I say for I in range 1 to n plus 1, that is for I in range 1 to 5. So range of 1 to 5 is going to generate me only 4 numbers, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So it is going to go from 1, 2, 3 and 4. I simply say use the update function of the dictionary, and while update function I say append or update in the dictionary whatever is inside I. So initially I would be 1, so 1 followed by 1 square would be stored. Next time the loop runs, I gets incremented and I have 2 followed by 2 square would be stored, so on, followed by 3 followed by 3 square, 4 followed by 4 square and 16. And you can see at the end, when this for loop terminates, I have simply printed this dictionary and I got the output. So any queries in question number 1 of the assignment? I'll just check in the comment, guys. So as I told you, you just have to find the right function for creating this particular dictionary. Any questions in this? Great. Next question, which was again a very simple question. The question simply said we had a list 1 to 50 numbers and we have to perform the slicing operation on the list. So it was something like this. So if you have a list of 1 2 3 4 5 dot 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 right up to 49, if I say the name of the list is list underscore 1, and if I give 2 numbers over here, 4 dot, if I give 2 numbers over here, first number is A and second number is B, and the first number is maybe 1 and second number is 5, so it has to give me the output of 1 colon 5. That is, it has to give me everything from the list starting from index location 1 and going up to index location 4. That is 2, 3, 4 and 5 should be coming as output to me. So let's go to the solution fast. Okay, so here is the code for it, guys. As simple as that. So now what happens over here? List, this is an empty list. this is going to generate a list with the help of a range function. As I told you, I have also used a range function, I have also used the append function, and I also insisted on the same thing. Many of you have simply generated a list by writing L of 1:51. This is also right. I can have a list generated using this also, but I didn't want you to use this particular thing. So this is going to generate it using the append function. Now the way to accept the input, instead of writing this line, I could have written simply A is equal to input, and could have written B is equal to input, and then in this line I would have converted A and B to integers respectively. But I wanted you to understand what is the working of the split function. Now the advantage of writing this particular line of code is, when a interpreter is going to execute this particular entire code, it will be expecting me two values. So first value if I give as 2 and the second value if I give as 6, I have to ensure that these two values are separated by a space. So you have the code with you, just make sure when you are entering the values, split these values or separate these values by a space. Split function will automatically split this 2 and 6 individually, and 2 would be stored inside A and 6 would be stored inside B. That is the beauty of the split function. It is going to split by default over a space bar. Fine. Then I create an empty list over here, and I have A. So maybe let us consider the same example. So in this, if you have this big list 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 dot 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 with indexes 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 right up to 49, and the name of the list is list_1. Now I create an empty list over here. I say A less than B. We have given the A's value as 2 and B's value as 6. So it is, while 2 is less than 6, it is going to execute the condition. First time I simply say that the empty list which you just created, which you have called as L over here, please append into this list1 of A. What is list1 of A? List1 of A is list1 of 2. So list1 of 2 is going to be the element over here. So 3 will be added to this list. Once this 3 is added to this particular list, I say A is equal to A plus 1. So A was initially 2, that became 3 over here. 3 still less than 6 condition satisfied. So append list1's third element over here, that is 4. Then again A becomes A plus 1, so A's value become 4. 4 less than 6 satisfied, append fourth element of the list. Yes. So this time it is going to append the fourth element, that is 5 over here. Again A is equal to A plus 1, that makes it 5. 5 less than 6, append the fifth element. So 6 gets appended over here. A is equal to A plus 1, this becomes 6. 6 less than 6 condition not satisfied, therefore this while loop would be terminated totally, and I say simply print L, and we can see we are going to get the output as 3 4 5 6. So in this way we have splitted using the split function and use the append function of the list exhaustively for getting slicing operation on the list. So I hope the assignment is clear to you guys. This was the assignment for yesterday. Jumping on to today's assignment. Close this, coming on to assignment number 6. This is also available in the description. Okay. So assignment number 6, I'm not going to explain you, it is a very simple assignment. I want you to spend some time and discuss on this assignment. I'll just give you a hint over here in short. So the first thing is, you can see over here the input is drink, eat, code. As you can see over here, the input is drink, eat and code. The target over here is to count the alphabets The target over here is to count the alphabets that have hollowness in them. By that I mean that if you observe a character called as D, D has a hollowness in them, therefore D would be counted as 1. In R also you can see there is a hollow part or a round circle in them, so we increment the count. If you observe I, there is nothing called as hollow element, therefore count will not be incremented. You observe N, no hollow element, K, no hollow element, E, no hollow element. Inside A, yes, there is a hollow element present over here, so please increment the count. Then inside T, no hollow element, no hollow element in C, but in O 100% there is a hollow element, so increment the count. In D again you see a hollow element, increment the count. In E you do not see any hollow element, and finally what count you have after counting all the hollow elements in the input string should be given as output. Now guys, this is just a sample string which is given. The string could be possibly anything. If I say the string is simply let's upgrade, it could be a small alphabet, it could be a capital alphabet, whatever be it, this logic should work and perfectly tell me how many number of hollow characters are present. Got it? So it is a very simple assignment. You have to do this, and the next assignment that you are going to do is going to be creating your own notebook right from map function to lambda function, which we have discussed. So I repeat once again, you have two questions with you. This is going to be a question number 1, and question number 2 would be creating the notebook that is going to be for the map function and the lambda function, which we have discussed till now. Okay, so that's your task for the day. And coming on to a very important thing before I stop streaming for today, we all know that tomorrow we are going to have the last day of the FCS, so you all are going to become pro in Python very soon. So the question comes over here, do you want the tomorrow's day to be conducted tomorrow itself, or since it is a Sunday tomorrow, do you want a break and we can schedule the lecture on Monday morning at 11 o'clock? Do let me know in the comment section guys. You want the lecture to be conducted tomorrow itself and finish off with the syllabus, or you want a break before completing the final lecture, so that even you will be getting a breathing space for yourself. So let's say before the final lecture you want Sunday to be off for you. Do let me know in the comment section, and if you don't mind working tomorrow, that also is fine. So depending upon the polls that we get, we are going to conclude what is to be done, and that will again be conveyed in the community forum as well as on the Telegram group that we have over here. So do let me know in the comments of the YouTube, do let me know in the community forum, do let me know in the Telegram, do like and subscribe the channel, and let me know whether a lecture for Sunday is okay for you or not. Don't simply reply by okay or not, clearly say you want a lecture on Sunday or you want a lecture on Monday. So your answer should be precise. I want a lecture on Sunday, or I want the last day of FCS lecture on Monday. Okay. I myself suggest a 1 day break would be a good advantage, as well as a good nap time for you. You will be having a good power nap, and I think it would be better, but do let me know in the comment section, and we at Let's Upgrade will take the right decision and let you know on the community forum, on the YouTube comments, as well as on the Telegram as to what will be the final decision. Okay, so as I can see, there are a lot of mixed opinions over here. So fine. Keep on posting. The more you post, the more we will understand what is the opinion. Fine. So guys, with this, I am ending today's session. So I am going off. If there is any feedback, positive or negative, any improvements needed, that also do let me know in the comment section, so that I can accordingly take the preventive actions over here. Fine. So with this guys, I am stopping the streaming for today. See you either tomorrow or on Monday. Bye bye.
We gon' burn it down. Burn it down. We gon' burn it down. Burn it down. I killed it, it's murder. I killed it, it's murder. I killed it, it's murder. I killed it, it's murder.
I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker. I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker. I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker. I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker.
Yeah. Show them. Yeah. Change the station with a new shit.
Tired eyes, and everything we said we'd be, we just traded for a suit coat and a tie. And underneath the rows of trees, I will see you where the ocean meets the sky. Under your toes, the fire grows. You are ready for a different kind of life. You're silent, bold, the wind is cold. You must return to the wild. You're silent, bold, the wind is cold. You must return to the wild, 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 wild.
you